Good morning, everyone. Welcome to the January 4th, 2022 session of the Board of Commissioners. All commissioners are present. Please join me in the Pledge of Allegiance. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America, and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Okay. First up is approval of minutes of December 21st.
Also moved. Second.
Been moved and seconded. All those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Aye. Passed unanimously. Next up is appointing a planning commission chair. Mr. Austin is here.
Good morning.
Good morning.
So last week, we had an agenda item for my memo dated December 7th, 2021. There was sort of an automated part, which was to reappoint Mr. Commissioner Finnegan, Tom Finnegan, to the Planning Commission, and that was done on consent. And then now it's a discretionary option before the board in designating a chair. So our current chair is recovering from some medical and is not able to make all of the meetings. And our vice chair is no longer on our planning commission. So the board really is in a position where it needs to appoint a chair. We're recommending, the planning staff is recommending Chris Patuan, who has filled in as the chair in the absence of the chair and the vice chair. He's willing to serve as the chair. He's very prepared, reads the material. I highly recommend Chris for that position. And then additionally, the board could appoint a vice chair. The board has done that in the past, or the board could allow the planning commission to designate the vice chair. In that instance, Commissioner Schilling, Mike Schilling, is willing to serve as the vice chair and hopes to continue in that role as part of his recovery. Either way, I have some options in the discussion alternative section of the memo. And I would recommend at a minimum that the board designate Chris Patuan as the board, planning commission chair.
I'd like to propose the motion that we appoint Chris Patuan as chair of the planning commission.
It's been moved and seconded. All those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Aye. And vice chair?
I would recommend that we leave that open to the planning committee. I think that we have a very good, solid base of people in there, a lot of diverse backgrounds. And I think that leadership will just step up naturally. I think that should be up to them.
I agree. I'd like to give them discretion to select their own vice chair.
Yes, I don't care one way or the other.
All right. So your motion carried, and we'll sit silent on the rest. We'll take it to the planning commission.
Thank you.
Perfect. Thank you.
Sure.
Okay, and next on our agenda is Polk County flooding update, but if you would indulge me, Craig, it looks like you're the one doing that. I would like to deviate from that with a non-listed item because I've asked PJ to come and talk to us today, PJ Armstrong with Minet, to talk to us today about an application that he's wanting to put through. Made sure you guys have that. And Morgan and I have talked this morning about it's probably not appropriate for us to make a decision as much as I'd like us to, because we really need to get to the 10th and just making sure it's fair and equitable for all folks that put any kind of project proposals forward. But I at least want to get this one done. PJ's in front of us today. I think it's a great project, but please come forward.
Thank you for your time. PJ Armstrong with Minet and Willamette Valley Fiber. So we have submitted a proposal for a formal feasibility study to be conducted by an outside broadband consulting group for the city of Falls City and bringing fiber to the home to the city of Falls City. So that's really what we would like to be able to accomplish. That having that done as soon as possible will put us in the best possible position when state grant dollars become available. We'll have the feasibility study in hand and be able to move forward with hopefully state grant dollars that will, the feasibility should show us that the market is there for fiber to the home network and the state grant dollars will be there for us. So that is our intention. Happy to-
Question for you, PJ.
Sure.
Other related projects for the area south of Dallas, would that be done concurrently with the Fall City project or?
That's, I probably not concurrently would be my guess, but that's, if we were awarded, construction in that area, that would probably be a matter of timing for when funding came through and construction is able to start.
So what do you think the timetable is on this study to be completed?
Yeah, that was, when I talked to the consulting group, because they were unsure about when the funding might come through for it. We couldn't nail that down, specifically, but what we think is within 30 to 60 days, they'll get that started. And we think it's probably a 90-day process.
And how much funding is this grant?
$20,000. That's the cost of the feasibility study. And once we know things like timing and funding, then I can be more specific about what their timing would end up being.
So I think that this is, PJ and I've had several conversations, and I think that this is going to be a great partnership for us, for us together to be able to apply for more dollars that the state holds at Business Oregon. This is, to me, is one of those examples where you get to demonstrate to Business Oregon and their broadband dollars that, you know, a larger community working together towards a common goal, and to be able to use these kinds of dollars to leverage true construction costs to get this done. So I'm gonna guess that Polk County in its $2 million roughly in the kitty to do this work that's not gonna get it done for this particular project, a population that size. But I think it's absolutely, you know, a community that we should focus on. And I'm just thrilled that MyNet has some interest in looking at that and moving forward in that direction. But I agree that at least doing this feasibility study is the right first step. But again, as I said in conversations with Morgan, it is appropriate for us to wait, you know, see the presentation, know that we have it in hand, and be prepared to make a decision as quickly as we possibly can, but not today.
That decision could happen a week from today, correct?
Yeah, that's right.
Potentially. Okay. I appreciate the due diligence proposed here to, you know, have as accurate an application as possible.
Absolutely. One of the drivers for this, just so you know, or maybe you already do, but one of the drivers for this was, you know, we had a conversation with somebody at the Oregon broadband office, myself and the city manager for Falls City. And it was indicated to us that there's probably a pretty good potential for grant dollars to be available from the state, and that this feasibility study would really help us in that regard when that comes available. I think they're talking about the last quarter of 2022.
Which I think it would be just absolutely awesome if you had this work done and you were like as quick up to the front of the queue as possible in that.
Yep,
That's going to take them a fairly long time, I'm guessing, to sort through all those applications. Okay. I guess that's it.
All right.
Thank you.
I
Appreciate the taking the time today.
No problem.
Okay, that takes us to the flooding update.
Mr. Chair, members of the board, went out yesterday with Todd Whitaker along with Commissioner Wardhorse. We looked mostly at North and Northwest County. So far to date, we've had minor flooding, mostly surface water flooding, water over our roads in numerous places. Nothing really in the Northwest section in the Grand Ron yet. Things were rising, but things weren't that bad. In North County, in the Perrydale area, and that there was water over numerous gravel roads that we drove through and around. And then South County had some minor flooding at the normal places with water over the road. But again, all that was surface water. The high flooding areas probably will be in the South County come Friday, maybe Saturday, according to weather reports and what Todd has been looking at. And it also depends on Mother Nature and how much surface rain we get and the temperatures. But so far, we've been able to do pretty well, and hopefully we will be able to continue that through Saturday is what indications are, so. That's just a brief update. Commissioner Warhorse was along with the ride. He can give you further more information if it's necessary, but I think that's what we saw.
I will tell you, there is a whole lot of water sitting out there. Some of those fields look like lakes that go from as far as you can see. It's unbelievable the amount that's sitting there. The ground's so saturated, and hopefully we don't get any winds. But looking at all the rain coming down from Mr. Bender's weather reports he's been sending us, I know you guys get those as well. There's gonna be a lot of rain coming, so I hope the people get prepared, get food. Just normal life stuff backed up and have it ready to go. So some could be trapped and we could have some issues, but hopefully they'll all be minor.
Did you guys go to Super?
We did not go.
You should have. Yeah. So my inside reporter told me that Early Road and 99W was flooded halfway across yesterday morning. And all of the culverts and ditches there in that region are slow flow, and which is a pretty common thing. And I had an entire office in 96 get flooded in that intersection, near that intersection, which was stunning. You just don't expect it, but
There.
apparently it was a pretty serious traffic hazard when she went through there yesterday morning. And she said there was traffic not seeing it, and then trying to swerve around this big puddle out into the intersection at the last second. But yeah, that's a kind of a perennial spot down there when all the creeks back up and just slows everything down. All righty. I have,
One more thing. I learned from Dean that we have, the county has sandbags available for residents. Maybe something we want to blast out on Facebook with instructions. Just want to throw that out there.
great point, because we don't do any of that from Public Works, do we?
We've had community service filling.
No. I mean, advertising or we're putting it out there on social media. And
At the time of flooding, we do, but it hasn't
Yeah.
really got to any of that stage yet.
yeah,
Dean notifies cities and everything of availability in that. We aren't there yet, but we can put it out early too.
okay. Moving on to non-listed items. I have the West Valley Fire District ASA that I had to add on because we received a letter from them. So I know you've all seen that, but I want to make certain that since we told West Valley Fire District that they had a due date of December 15th to tell us how they were going to resolve their problem, I felt it was appropriate that we consider their final statement here and apparently the direction they're going, and at least give them acknowledgement that we've received it and are either satisfied or not satisfied. So that letter from now Board President Mike Alger states that they have now settled into a contract with Confederated Tribes of Grand Ronde, and that is their plan for the next 3 years for both fire and EMS. So I put it on there just for discussion and consideration and direction to respond.
I see nothing that jumps out at me. It looks like a good deal, 250,000 a year. I assume mutual aid will continue with Sheridan and other surrounding providers.
And I'm just thrilled that the people out there have the protection they need and they pay for. So getting it out there, I think, hopefully this will work out well.
Okay. All right. So I'll respond to them with the thank you check. And what they are acknowledging is that West Valley Fire District, the taxing district, is still responsible for their ambulance service area and the performance of that service area. So I think there's no reason for us to consider anything else with regard to their ASA lines or any reassignments. So
I don't know if there's, I guess that's gonna be something that we're just gonna see how all this works out. I wish I could say, seeing the future and how it's gonna go. But I see this is a reasonable answer.
Mhm.
I know you've been very involved. What are your feelings on it?
They needed a contract provider. Yeah, they needed a contract provider. So I think it's spectacular that CTGR is willing to do it. I think, it'll be interesting to see how it works out because again, it's more than EMS now. It's EMS and fire for the entire fire district. So that's a big step. But CTGR has sometimes has resources that everybody else doesn't necessarily get access to. So fingers crossed, it is a 3-year agreement. It is up to the fire district to make certain that they are the taxing entity. They are the official body. They have an elected board. That's their job, is to see to it that it performs. So it really isn't for us to judge in that regard, as long as it's performing. I think our purpose was to, kind of send a shot across the bow saying, hey, this is not okay if you're not actually responding to these emergency calls. So I think that we can acknowledge it and say, we're with you and we hope everything works well.
I agree, and I just want to say that I really appreciate your leadership on this.
Thank you.
These were not easy discussions.
And I do know that the Yamhill County Board of Commissioners is looking at this on Thursday. I haven't seen any indicators that they wouldn't support this as well, albeit that they have indicated that they are having a meeting of their ASA the following day on Friday. That this will be in that packet with their ASA. I'm not sure why, but because I don't feel like this is something our ASA committee needs to convene on. It was the boards of commissioners jointly that said, tell us your plan. This is their response. I don't see that there's any real need for us to do anything different. So,
Sounds great.
okay. And I think that's all I have for add-on. Anyone else?
Just for the people out there listening, this time of year, slow down, leave home 15, 20 minutes earlier to get to work. Give yourself time for detours, for flooding, for winter, for ice. And just be prepared. Keep track of what your tires look like. It doesn't matter what you drive if you don't have the traction to keep you on the road. And every year we see people come in that have put it off because they don't really need to study. I want my tires fresh when the weather gets bad. Well, the weather's bad. When it starts raining, that's just as bad as snow and ice. The hydroplaning and stuff, the accidents we see. And just like we ran in there at Hoover that you just described, 84 this past weekend between Christmas and New Year's was terrible. The puddling, the snow and ice. We've seen a few wrecks, not a lot. It was nice. But you always have a few people just trying to drive too fast. And speed is the key to everything this time of year. So just please slow down and be considerate of others.
Okay. That's it. Okay, we're adjourned.